like, comment, subscribe. Welcome to my journey. So, with regards to my health journey, because I started this channel to share all the things that I was learning with regards to my health. All my health struggles were happening in between all of this. In my job in South Africa, leaving my job in South Africa, moving to South Korea. And it was all ebbing and flowing and happening all at the same time. And at this point, we still didn't even know why. It took coming back to America and having to go through all the medical assessments for the immigration process to move to the US to figure out that this was the exact problem, because I'd been going to doctors forever to try and figure out why I feel this way, what is wrong, what is going on, and we'd never found out what it was. It was like this invisible thing almost in my mind, but I knew it wasn't in my mind. And then in doing those tests, because I'm just a little bit overboard, prior to going to the designated physician for the embassy, I went to my own doctor that I see all the time, my GP, that's it, my own GP. And she ran all the tests and they picked up a problem with my TSH levels and my thyroid. And I was going to leave like 2 weeks later, and she put me on some like synthetic thyroid medication, and she sent me off. She's, after 8 weeks you need to go and be tested. We don't know if it's Graves, we don't know if it's just a general underactive thyroid, we don't know if it's Hashimoto's disease, but you need to go and have it checked. And I started taking the medicine and I moved over to the US. But prior to that, I had always felt like your body feels generally unwell. And then I was able to lose weight, and I would lose a large amount of weight, and the weight would just pick all back up, and I'd pick it up tenfold, but it would be like this yo-yo thing. And I had all the signs. When I look back at pictures now of the skin around my neck and the discoloration, it's all like these symptoms of. And if I'd known to look for these things, I probably would have picked it up. But I didn't. And we came across here, and I had got into a normal standard GP's office, and we were going through the motions, and we went through the motions for almost a year. And in that year, I must have went to the doctor every week, because I had heart palpitations and I had strange pains in my arms. It felt like I was having heart attacks, and I had to have EKGs done and check my body. And then I was having bazillion bladder infections all the time. And yeah, they don't have citrus soda that you can just like buy, drink it, and walk through until it's like maybe really bad that needs an antibiotic. And so like I was stuck in a place where I didn't know the medications, what is available to take. And then I asked the doctors, and then they looked at me quite strangely. I'm asking for things like, no, we don't have that here. You're just going to come and get an antibiotic. And surely didn't have to be on an antibiotic every 2 to 3 weeks. It's not normal. And then we kept testing my TSH levels and either raising or lowering my synthetic hormones, try and balance this hormone thing, and nothing was happening. It was just getting worse. And there was a point there where I wasn't even eating food because I was so scared that anything I put in my mouth was going to make me put on weight, that I would have one meal a day in the evenings with my husband. And I was eating so little, but I was still putting on weight. And I had ballooned to now, when I looked at an old medical record, to 289.6 pounds. And if anybody watches my husband in the grocery store parking lot, you'll see that he holds my hand and he opens my door and he closes my door, but he lets me push the trolley. And it must be this weird thing. And why does this man open the door and close the door, but he doesn't push the trolley, and he doesn't walk the trolley back to the storage place? And he lets me do it because I insisted on doing it, and there was a reason behind it. I couldn't like my breathing was such a problem that I needed that trolley to like support me as I walked around the store and on the way back. And so I'd always insisted, and he never understood why I needed it. And I think only recently I said to him, you know what, this is why I needed it. And now I just do it because I can do it. But at that point, I'd gotten so uncomfortable in my own body and what I could physically manage that I needed this trolley for support. And it's scary to think about it right now because I'm in a better place health-wise. But then it was this like thing. And I remember thinking back on it, thinking, you know, I'm going to die in my sleep. I'm going to go to bed and I'm going to wait, and I'm just not going to wake up in the morning. And that's okay. I'm going to just live as many days as God is going to give me with my husband, because we don't know what's wrong with me. They keep telling me there's something wrong with me, but I know that there's something wrong with me. It's not natural to feel like this and have all these aches and weird pains and palpitations and all the time. It's not normal. It really just isn't. And there's light again. And I remember thinking that many times going to sleep and just being so grateful that I'd woken up the next day. And I got to live an extra day. And there was this one defining moment where I was just like, I cannot do this anymore. I cannot get any bigger. I am eating whole cooked foods that I cook myself from scratch. I'm controlling what I'm eating. I am doing everything that I can physically think of, besides going and getting a piece of my stomach cut out. And that was actually an option. And my sister talked to me about it. Just think about it. We know someone that's had the surgery and we know the struggles. Yes, they've lost the weight, but we know the after struggles, like about eating and how you have to manage your vitamins and all these things. And I knew I didn't want to have that extreme form of surgery, and I was going to do this myself. And I had slowly started doing the research. I found doctors, like reports on the internet, medical research. I had found YouTube doctors that spoke on it. I had found people on Instagram that had like wellness things for the thyroid, they ran like wellness programs. And I just started to like drink up everything to understand what was happening with my body. Because prior to leaving South Africa, I hadn't had a chance to even like contemplate what this thyroid disease was and what it does and how it works in your body and what does your thyroid even do. I didn't understand the scope of the disease and what happens in my body, or that there was a T3 or a T4 cell in my body. And so I essentially dived deep into that pond, and I started to educate myself. And I found out that people with this disease respond better eating a certain way, and these are things you need to cut out, and these are the things that are not good for you. And a lot of it is you should just stay away from processed food. The more things that you can make from scratch that is like single product foods, the better for you. And then there's also a whole range of plant products that are so inflammatory to your body, because they come with like all these defense mechanisms to ensure that they can reproduce and continue to live on the planet. And they do have harmful effects to the body, and especially with someone that has Hashimoto's disease. Figured out the whole shindig with insulin, and there's a whole like myriad of things and domino effects that happen. And I started to understand things that I needed to do. So I went all in, and I'm like, I'm buying that brown rice, and I'm only cooking these kind of things, and we're switching to coconut oil and butter and lard and all these things. And I was like, this is what I'm gonna do. And I remember I slowly started to make those changes as I started, because the more educated I began and the more information I found, I started to implement it into our life. And my poor husband, I'm telling you, it was like 0 to 500 in the matter of 2 weeks, because I was left at home and I was just consuming everything. This is what's wrong. This is what's happening. This is what you need to do. And this is what you need to eat to help your body function more efficiently. And in that first 2 weeks, all on my own, I think I could feel a difference in the weightage of my body. I'd lost some weight, and I could feel the slight difference. And I went in to see my GP. They call it a primary care manager, I think, PCM, primary care manager, PMC. Listen to me. And I said to him, listen, what diet can I be on that will help this? He goes, no, there's nothing that you can eat that will affect your thyroid imbalance and your hormones. It's just is what it is, and you're going to continue taking this. And prior to this, I'd had a month before that phone call with him and saying, what can I do? Is there a possibility to see a specialist? The reason why I had asked about a specialist was because weeks before that, I'd been speaking to my auntie about how bad I had been feeling, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. And I don't know. I might have seemed like hopeless and at the end of the rope there. And she was like, Shati, you need to ask your doctor to see a specialist. This is like not on. And this particular auntie has a tone in her voice, and when that tone comes out, I'm gonna keep quiet and do exactly what she says. And so on the very next by phone visit, I said, is there a possibility of me seeing a specialist? And he's like, oh, we'll see you in your next results, and then I will recommend you. Put the phone down, and I went in for the set appointment where I asked about what I could do, and got this advice that nothing you eat impacts your hormones and there's nothing you can do. When my doctor said that, it was like all the hair on my body raised like chicken skin. And I was like, are you telling me this? Is this coming out of your mouth? That you're telling me it doesn't matter what I consume, it's not going to affect the responses in my body. Even I know that, and I'm not a doctor. What you consume has a direct effect on how your body responds. And he'd already recommended me to a specialist. Thank the Lord. Because then, after that response, I did not feel comfortable going to that doctor. It was scary. Because how did I know these things? And my doctor didn't. It's like, as a teacher, you are consistently learning and learning about pop culture, and learning your content that you teach changes, and there's consistently new things and changes that are happening in the world, and you've got to account for that. How? And that's just me in my professional capacity as a teacher. I was consistently looking to learn and grow and change and more information, so I was doing whatever I was doing better every time I did it. And then you have this doctor that is telling me this thing, and I know for a fact not the truth, because I'd already started to feel better in the 2 weeks prior, cutting out all these extra carbs and having whole meals. And it was definitely an experience. And then I went to my endocrinologist. I was really praying that he was going to be someone that I needed to help me through this, because I was flying blind here, and I was getting one set of information from wellness coaches and doctors on the internet, and we all know how doctors on the internet, that analogy is. And then actual PhDs I was visiting were like, and the information was all skewed. And I was praying to the powers that be, that he be exactly what I needed. And if he wasn't, I was going to kindly buy about and ask for another referral till I found someone that was going to be able to help me. So this particular doctor was everything that I needed. I needed a firm hand that was going to say, this is what you do, and there are no ifs, ands, and buts about it. When you have a condition like this, you can't have someone be gentle with you. You've got to be like, this is what it is. And you've got to do what you need to do. Because if you are, oh no, I'll do this tomorrow and that the next day, and it'll never sort itself out. And so he gave me a food list, and this is what I needed to do, and that's what I have been doing. And it's low carb and high protein. And I go there in so every often, and he weighs me and we have a chat, and yes, he can be scary and he's expecting you to give up a lot of things, but all these things he's expecting you to give up make the biggest difference in the way your body works. So I can say from the time where I initially started to make the changes to now, and I follow the list in conjunction with all the other little things I'd learned along the way and in reading the medical reviews and that kind of thing, I have not gone to the doctor for any reason except for going to my endocrinologist for checkups and blood work to see what my hormones are doing and that kind of thing. I haven't had to go back to an emergency room to do a heart palpitation check or arms are hurting or I think I'm dying, because now I have a place where I understand it. I understand what's going on, and I'm able to work through it better with more information. But also, what you eat plays a significant role in how your body responds. And so the better I eat in line with low carb, high protein, the better my body responds and the less flare-ups I have. If I go and I eat something that I shouldn't have, or has an iffy ingredient, super processed something, the days following that, I have these aches and pains and aches in my chest and pains in my legs and all the discomfort that I felt before. But if I maintain my new way of eating, those flare-ups are less and far and few between. And as I said before in a prior video, I have gone beyond sitting in pain, and the sacrifice is worth it, because having that level of discomfort on a daily basis versus being able to manage it and having fewer levels of discomfort over a long period of time is worth it. And so that is why I do what I do. And this last review from my endocrinologist, my antibodies had gone from 10,000 to 8,000, so it's lowering, and something good is happening. And even though I know that my immune system is killing my thyroid, if I can slow the process and slow the antibodies and manage how I feel on a daily basis by what I put in, I am going to continue to do that. And that's where I started this channel. I started creating low carb recipes that my husband and I could eat, that I was excited to eat. And it's not from scratch. It uses the basis of Indian cooking that I cooked in my mother's kitchen, that I learned from my mother and my granny and my aunties. I have a lot of them. And I had observed growing up, and I just take certain things out and sub certain things in, and voila, have protein and some carbs. And I'm still able to create these meals that are delicious and satisfying, and I want to eat them, and I'm not being punished because my body is not functioning with me. Because a lot of it, if you're not in the right mind for it, it feels like punishment. And I've had to work through the fact of what I felt like before and what I feel like now, and realize that actually it isn't punishment. Even though you've got to let go of everything you've been taught prior to this, and what is healthy and what is healthy for your body and that kind of thing. When I get demotivated, or I find myself wanting to stray off the path of sanity, because it is sanity to want to keep your body functioning, I rewatch old videos that taught me the way to do things, and I remotivate myself, reminding myself why I'm doing this. So at the moment, I went from 289.6 pounds. I'm now 226 pounds. I've got a good 40 pounds to go, but I reached a point where the weight on the scale is not drastic, but the form and shape of my body is changing. And so I am being consistent about exercising, and I am trying to be consistent about intermittent fasting 3 times a week or 5 times if I can manage. And on the weekends I make sure I don't exercise because I give my body and myself a break. And I'm really just grateful to be in the space where I am, where I am feeling healthier and I'm not feeling as sickly as I was. And I'm really happy to share my journey with you. Like, comment, subscribe. It gives my videos foot traffic. And follow me on Instagram.